Okay, good. So last thing is, it's not really anything new. Okay, the big part of what we did in the second half of this unit is how to graph lines 3 different ways and different ways where you can find equations of lines. When we found equations of lines, what was the one formula we used? Y equals mx plus b. Sometimes we had to figure out what m is. Sometimes we had to, we were given what m is. Most of the time we had to figure out what b is, about y-intercept. Very rarely were we given b. The only other thing I want to add to this is many times when we find an equation of line and we write our final answer, we do it in a slightly different form. It doesn't look like this. Okay? It looks like this, where we have the x term at the beginning of the left side of the equation. Then we have the y term, and these just represent numbers that could be in front, equals a constant number on the other side. It's just a different way it looks, but A must be positive and no fractions. So if there's fractions, we have to get rid of them. And when we move everything around to make it look like this, okay, whatever starts here, it has to be positive. And if it's negative, you got to change it to positive. So just as an example, what would you do to this equation, which happens to be in slope-intercept form? How would you make it look like this? What would you do to the equation? Do we have the x on this side? No. So we got to move this. How do we move it? How do you get rid of minus 2x? Add 2x. So that means we're going to add 2x over to that side. What does the equation look like after you add it? Well, write the x term first. What do we get? 2x. What else is there? Plus y equals oh, I thought it was Sophia. She must not be coming back. So 2x plus y equals 2. Is that in this form? Yes. So we're done. Okay. So we haven't, like, it's not like we haven't had to find anything. All we had to do was just rearrange the equation so that it looked like this. And that is called standard form. Okay? Because a lot of times when we work with equations in real life situations, we work with them in standard form, not necessarily in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept helps us to graph, okay? But standard helps us in other ways. I'm not going to worry too much about that. So here, let's just take 3 different equations and put them into proper standard form. So remember, they've got to look like this. Something x, where that number has to be positive, plus or minus something y equals a number. Okay. So A does not look like this. What do I have to do? Sorry? Subtract 42 to take that over to that side. What else do I have to take over? I'm going to have to take that over too. Do I? No, good. You only have to take over the 42. Excellent. So negative 5x plus 3y equals, when we take the 42 over by subtracting it, it becomes negative 42. And you're right, there's one thing left. I can't have negative 5. What math do I do? Like, I have to do something mapping to negative 5 to make it into positive 5. Sure, I can divide it by negative 1. I could multiply everything by negative 1. Same thing. So sure, let's divide everything by negative 1. And all that does, it's just going to change the signs on everything in the equation. So we get 5x minus 3y equals 42. Did she answer you yet? Really? Okay. What's wrong with this one? Fraction. First thing I want to do is get rid of the fraction by multiplying every term by 3, because that's the denominator. So I get 3y equals times 3, divide 3, cancel each other out, and I'm left with negative 2x plus 12. Am I in standard form yet? No. What do I have to do? Add 2x and bring it over to the front of the left. So I'll get 2x and then positive 3y equals 12, and that is standard form. Okay. This last one. What do you want to do first? By what? Times everything by 2. So the times 2, divide 2, cancel each other out in the first thing, and I'm left with 1x. Minus the times 2 and divide 2, cancel each other out in the second term. I am left with minus 1y, or just minus y. Equals 2 times negative 4, which is negative 8. Standard form? Yeah. We're good. Okay. Back to finding a couple equations of lines. So now you can be asked an equation of line question. You'll always use y equals mx plus b to find it. It's just that if you're asked to write it in standard form, you have to do the extra work at the end to change it to standard form. So for example, like to get an equation of a line, we're going to get it in slope-intercept. And then once we get it there, because we're asked to change it to this, then we do the extra work. So for this first one, again, 2 things you need to know to find the equation of a line. Slope. Am I given it, or do I have to find it? It's 5. I'm given it. I'm not given the y-intercept, but I use that point to find it. So I find b using y equals mx plus b. So I use this slope and that point to plug everything in except for b. So what's y? Negative 3 equals m times x plus b. So multiply 5 times negative 4 and you get negative 20. get b by itself by adding 20 to both sides, and b is equal to 17. So you're ready to write slope-intercept form. What does it look like in slope-intercept form? Right. But now I have to change it to standard. Okay? Because it's not in standard. I have to move this 5x. Whoa. What the heck's going on here? I have to move this 5x over here by subtracting 5x. When I do that, I get negative 5x. Negative 5x plus y equals 17. Am I done? No. Okay. You can divide everything by -1, or just think of it this way, change the sign on everything. That means the same thing. So if you're going to change this to positive, that means you got to change all the other terms. So this one's positive, it becomes negative. This one's positive, it becomes negative. And that's our final answer. So to find the equation, we use y equals mx plus b, but then we may have to use the standard form formula after that if we're asked to answer in standard form. So let's have a look at b. Do I know the slope, or do I have to figure it out? Yeah. How do I figure it out? Somebody want to give me the what to? Okay, give me the numbers. 2 minus 8. 2 minus 8 divide by 1 plus 1. Okay. I'm taking your word for it. So we get -6/2, which works out to exactly -3. Notice when the slope's not a fraction, we don't have to worry about dealing with fractions. So we find b using y equals mx plus b. And one of the points. You're given 2 points, so you have a choice. So maybe use the positive ones, 1 and 2. Or yeah, when you plug it in, you would get 2 equals -3 times 1 plus b. Therefore, 2 is equal to -3 plus b. So b will be 5. And our equation will be y equals -3x plus 5. But I'm not done yet. How do I change this to standard form? Add 3x to both sides. And that will get me 3x plus y is equal to +5. Okay. There's no